Good morning, class. My name is Miss Jessica. I will be your drama teacher.
This week on Mission Log Reactor, can breaking a leg mend a broken cadet? Why is the life of a village going up against the life of the stars? And do we have to call the doctor Dad?
Ooh, I don't think Picardo would like that. Hello again, I'm Jessica Lynn Verdi.
And hello again, I'm John Champion.
Welcome back to a brand new episode of Mission Log Reactor because a new episode of Starfleet Academy has dropped. The Life of Stars?
Yeah, the one with the stars.
The one about stars, but also not about stars. I'm actually, the problem is I'm only remembering the full quote, not how the actual title is. But basically, you know,
the one with the stars.
Episode.
Or if you say it's the life of the stars, you might be expecting like Hollywood, glamour, let's take a trip. Let's see where Ernest Borgnine lived.
Kind of like that amazing anecdote, whether it's sort of true, whether it's not, that Lucille Ball thought Star Trek was following the stars.
She thought it was like a USO road tour, you know? Yes.
Amazing.
I want that to be true.
Yes.
Very badly.
It's our head canon. John.
Yes.
What do they need to know?
Right. Well, as Jessica said, we are back with Mission Log Reactor talking about the latest episode of Star Trek, Starfleet Academy. But look, the job doesn't end here. Not for us, not for you, because you get to share your thoughts with us. So you know what to do. Give us a like, a subscribe, drop a comment. Better yet, chat with us live. That's right. Every Monday night during the run of Starfleet Academy at 7 o'clock Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. Join us at patreon.com/missionlog to discuss, again, live, cannot express this enough, live, discuss each week's episode and share your thoughts. It is completely free. Let me emphasize that again. It is free. There is no money exchange to join us live at patreon.com/missionlog Monday nights.
It is a blast, and we've been having more new people join us. We can't wait to hear your thoughts. And honestly, not only are you guys during Mission Log Live, like, basically positing like cool theories that might be happening.
Yes.
You're changing our opinions a little bit, which I'm very grateful.
Yep. I love it. I mean, look, no lie. And you know who you are. There's somebody who shows up with written notes to our live show, and I am here for it.
It makes me feel very thought about and special.
Yes,
honestly.
I love that. Lovely. I absolutely love it. It's always agreeable disagreement, if you will.
I think our audience of mission loggers to a T.
I like to think so. All right. So thank you, everybody who has signed up, who is a part of the Patreon community. We appreciate, of course, if you are a subscriber, you get this video early. You get access to all the other great things in our Patreon, including our Discord, the heart and soul of the Mission Log universe. So we hope that we see you there. All right. Jessica, I know that you know how this works, and I hope that our audience knows how this works. We're going to go through the latest episode of Academy act by act, and we are going to spoil the hell out of it as we give you our initial thoughts, reactions, comments, critiques. Yes, that's where the critique part comes in.
What?
Yeah, I know. It's shocking, right? What? So if you have not watched the episode yet, The Life of the Stars, pause now. Go watch Starfleet Academy and then get right back here and listen to what we've thought about it. And if you have more to say after that, you know what to do. Comment, email, at us, whatever it takes. But for now, that was your final spoiler warning. Jessica, spare no detail, leave no rock, leave no stone uncovered. You're going to break down the episode in 3, in 2, in 1.
We open on a bare stage. I'm just kidding. We open with a personal log from the Doctor, which gives us a little bit of an insight into some of the nihilism he's experiencing that we've caught a whiff of here and there so far throughout the series. Dorima returns from recuperation on Beta Z with an updated inhibitor, a Starfleet Academy uniform, and a warning that her mind would not survive another event like the one on the Miyazaki. And speaking of the Miyazaki, the fallout is still affecting the cadets. Shocker! Both in school and with each other. Enter Tilly, aka drama teacher or trauma teacher.
Ooh.
The cadets are mostly uninterested, except Sam, who is still glitching after being injured in the Miyazaki.
Okay, Jessica, you said it a couple of times in the teaser, Miyazaki. And I think this will be a recurrent note, a recurrent theme in our criticism and critique and discussion today. This episode picks up right after the disaster on the Miyazaki, even though you may have forgotten, there was an episode last week that is totally removed from that one. But here we are a month or so later, and we're dealing with the aftermath, and there is a tonal shift. You nailed it. Yeah, you called it with that nihilistic opening. Wow, what a poetically dark way for the Doctor to express himself, right?
We kind of needed to know, because everyone was like, wait, what happened to Gwyndala? Because he reacted so poorly when Sam mentioned her. I think we're getting to understand that the 800 years that the Doctor has been active has taken a toll in that he's, shut himself off. And it's interesting that we have multiple characters that experience time in a different way.
I love that. Let's put a pin in that for sure. But what a very interesting way to open in a character arc that we have been asking for since the beginning. Like, what are we getting out of the Doctor? What is in his head right now?
That's a good way to put it. Yeah. And yes, it will be a huge criticism for us. Where the heck was this episode last week?
Yeah.
I can buy that some time has passed and they're not moving on. But why didn't we see them attempt to help them first and then it not work? So there's a lot of criticism with regards to that.
Now, of course, we have Tarima's return, and there is tension there, which we will also get into, because I think that tension is just way all over the map in a strange way. Thank goodness we have a psychologist in the audience who can help us navigate that too.
Does the amount of therapy I've gone to count as some psychology? Do I get a letter after my name?
You get a star. Yes.
Oh, thank you so much.
You do.
I didn't realize this until right now, because it's all over the place, and we'll get into it with what Tarima's going through.
Yeah.
A lot of it's of her own making.
Agreed. And it also makes me wonder, why is everyone walking on eggshells around her? There is a way to look at her story where, yes, it was traumatic. Yes, it was difficult. Yes, it upended her life in a certain way. She was still the hero.
Okay, actually, so this is what I'm saying. I think this is a reaction to her in how she's behaving and not how everyone else is behaving.
Okay, so interesting. Yeah.
And maybe we'll get into it if we need to get in, if it's a little too much at the top. But I think if we remember, she says to Caleb, you're not going to want to be with me after you see this. She thinks she's the monster. No one's used these words around her.
Yeah. By the way, she comes to the planet of the mind readers. So just remind everybody of that.
I can only look at it through the lens of how I experienced life. I thought people didn't like me. And so I treated them like they didn't like me, which made them not like me.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think there's a little bit of self-fulfilling prophecy here. And it's hard to see that when you're going through a serious trauma like this. So I didn't realize that until right now. It's probably what's happening.
Okay. Well, let's see. In the teaser, we also get the return of Sylvia Tilly, Lieutenant Tilly. And just a pause here to say that for years on Mission Log, we've been saying, where are the theater classes in Starfleet? Because,
really?
Yes, because there are so many times you take a Kirk, you take a Picard, you take a Janeway, you take a Sisko, you take a Pike. Anyway, they have to perform at a certain point in their role as captain. People go undercover. They take dramatic turns. They are learning it from somewhere. And we have been asking
that. I mean, it's not just Picard's predilection toward Shakespeare.
Right.
Where does he get that fostered?
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah. Okay, but let's talk about Tilly a little. I feel like she has been reinvented, and I'm sure that we will get more into this, because she is sarcastic. she is caustic. And then I'm talking about right up in the teaser. We haven't even gotten into the rest of the show yet.
She's mean.
Yeah.
It's almost like we get Killy.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah. And here's the thing. I think they cover it in a little bit that her optimism is coping with the fact that she's not in her timeline anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
She does say that.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. This is not the Tilly I remember when I watched a few seasons of Discovery. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't like it.
Yeah. Tilly in Discovery, the Tilly that we grew to know, was earnest and bright-eyed and ready to learn. And yeah, a little awkward, but in a relatable, charming way. And this just feels like, okay, look, I get things have happened. I get you're 800 years out of place. I get all of that. But there is something very strange about her relationship to people who should be very much like her. So, yeah.
Or she could relate to. She's literally brought in because she can relate to. And actually really makes me question the whole reason for bringing Nala in. Because Vance says to her, you were there when Starfleet was at its best and you can bring us back to that. Actually, Jet was there.
Yeah.
And Tilly was there.
Right.
So why aren't they informing more of what
hello, the doctor was there too.
So why is she the only perspective that needs to be not that we don't love Ake in some ways or whatever, but it calls into question that logic, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. Let me just add a layer. As people, we're allowed to change. As women, we change. Mm-hmm. I went through a very drastic personality change between my 20s and 30s. And, you know, I wouldn't want someone to hold my previous niceness against me now that I'm more of a badass, you know?
Wow. I wish I knew nice Jessica. That seems so foreign. So
she got walked all over though, John. But I will say on the road to being badass Jessica.
Yeah.
I was caustic. I wasn't perfect. I caused more problems than I did nice things. And so it took some refining, and maybe we're seeing her mid refinement. So I'm just giving her that caveat maybe.
Okay. All right. Look, there are ways to explain. I think for you and me both, this was a really weird turn, and it got weirder through the episode.
I do want to just talk about like something very sweet when Caleb sees Tarima.
Yeah,
he loves her.
Yeah, he's playing nicely.
He's playing so lovely, and you know, so going back to the episode 5 where the Miyazaki happened.
Yeah.
You put this out there, and I didn't catch it at the time, and I think one of our audience members did too. The sex scene needed to happen in the way that it did to show them actually how close they are. Yeah. They're not just like get drunk, have sex, you know. They are experiencing intimacy, and he likes her so much.
Yeah, it feels. Look, again, for all the criticism about Star Trek doing relationships poorly, about doing sex poorly, like they've actually managed to shape this pretty well. I think the weak link here is Tarima. Again, we'll get into it. By the way, before we leave the teaser, the pillow is weird. That is a weird, ugly space pillow. I don't get it. I don't like it. I'm bothered that we see that pillow again.
It's giving trypophobia, where it's like has these weird holes.
Trypophobia. Yeah. You got that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it also made me think that like this was like the future My Pillow con artist guy who made these and like contracted them to start like Starfleet, and like no one likes them, but that's what it was making me think, like, oh, this is the con artist of 32nd Century who's like going, you need this pillow.
Okay.
And you don't.
Let's go headlong into Act 1.
Tarima is icing Caleb. Jet, Ake, and Tilly have their trauma counseling session. Neat. And the cadets reconvene to decide which play they'll be studying. Jaden is Deus Ex Sicknessed out of the majority of the episode, which allows Sam to introduce Our Town as the perfect play that they need, moments before she glitches into critical care. The damage is so severe that the decision is made to escort her to Cask in hopes of restoring her.
Okay, good setup. And from that opening scene in Act One here, there's no subtlety at all. This is the trauma counseling episode.
Yeah.
Fine. That's fine. What you didn't mention was the bridge simulation that is very Kobayashi Maru, which I thought was...
That's in a teaser.
Oh, is it? I thought we came back to... Oh, you're right. My bad.
Which is, I glossed over. I'm trying to get to the point on these.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, I'll just get... And
I agree.
They weren't doing well in school, and Darren's pushing people for no reason.
Yeah. Now, I do wonder, though, with that Kobayashi Maru-esque exercise they're going through, like, too soon? You know, they just came out of the real thing. So
really, really, really good point. While I was watching it, they're like, what are we supposed to be doing? We don't know, because who's the captain?
Yeah.
Why is Jet just standing there? It's not like their fault that it's going poorly. There's like no leadership.
Right.
No, it's very funny. Not funny. It's like, we get it. We see that they're struggling and not communicating well, but there was no hierarchy in that fight.
It was a mess.
Nala says something dumb.
Okay. Lay it on us.
Well, and it's the whole premise for the episode.
Yeah.
She says they need trauma counseling without knowing that they're getting trauma counseling.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. See, loss of words right here. Don't know.
I like the conceit. Biggest criticism I think John and I will have, or at least I do, because when I saw it first and I said to John, the Cosine episode should have never happened.
Yeah.
This episode should have been 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And I buy this episode if you show me trauma counseling isn't working.
Yes, there we go. Yeah, if you make a case for it, then fine. Might be able to get on board with you. But yeah, it doesn't work here.
It's just ham-fisted, I guess. Like, it's just strange. And what's kind of cool is, like, they're using Mary Wiseman's strengths. She's from Juilliard. Her and Mary Chieffo were in the same year. So, like, she knows theater. So it's fun in that, like, that meta respect. But, like, why not just sit them in a room and give them trauma counseling?
And by the way, we're in the 32nd century. As far back as the 24th century, we introduced the idea of a ship's counselor who is there to look after the mental health of the people on board. So, like, this shouldn't be a foreign idea. Again, let me remind you that Terima comes from the planet of the mind readers, who gave birth to one of Starfleet's greatest counselors of all time, and her insane sex-crazed mother.
You know, it is interesting because just to jump ships a little bit, in Trek Files, you had Denise Crosby on recently, and she shared the audition script that she went in there with. And the script where she's reading opposite Troy does read a little bit more Luoxana than it does Deanna, which is very funny. So if you want to check that out, look up the Trek Files or go to Memory Alpha. You can find out more. It's a very great episode. They do say it twice. When the ship liner, or the Klingon ship explodes, they tell Jaden, we have trauma counseling should you need.
Yeah.
When Terima comes aboard and comes back, and the doctor and Nala greet her, they say, we have this at your behest should you need it. Should be mandatory, guys.
Yeah.
Like, I do love that it's a normalized thing. I think that's what I'm getting when they say those things. But why isn't it so normalized to the point that, like, they should be having sessions right now? I mean, it's just so strange. Let me ask you a question, and I don't have the answer to this, so I want to know what your take is. Okay. Why did they get rid of Jaden for the majority of the episode?
I wish I knew. And I don't know if it's because we had just an excellent, just incredible Jaden episode. And did they feel like that would have been too much attention on him? Or we don't know how to deal with maybe the Klingon side of trauma in an incident like the Miyazaki? We just had that very weird episode where he is the Cosine. So maybe it was just felt like that was too much. But it seems like the kind of thing back in the day when you're doing 26 episodes in a season and you're shooting week to week to week to week, that if you need to sideline an actor, you can. You don't really need to do that nowadays.
You don't need to explain it.
No, exactly.
And you know what? I don't like how they're making fun of Jaden wanting to pitch the Klingon opera.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the Klingon opera. I think it's a lot of fun.
Obviously, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
But why are we making fun of him? He's so passionate about this.
Yeah.
And she's like,
but here's my note. He's so good in that scene. I have 0 notes. And what I love when he leaves, best of luck to you all in your future endeavors, which is such an HR thing to say.
It was fantastic.
It was great.
It's so silly. I'm glad that they bring him back.
Yeah.
But it's starting to shine a light on, hey, remember that crew of the Athena that we met that we never see again?
Yeah.
Hey, Laura Thok, who we like, where is she? Like, these really cool people. I think they don't have the time or place to include them, or I don't want to make too much of a conspiracy theory. Is it a budget constraint? Do they not want to pay these people that much? I know a previous series that Gina Yashir was on, which is I Heart Abishola, they took everyone off the roster besides the 2 main actors, and they made them all guest stars.
Wow.
And that was the way that they made that series more affordable, which is crazy for a truck lorry CBS show.
But I think we're too new. The series is too new. We're too early in the season for that to really be the issue here. But I think what they could have done, and we might keep hammering these similar themes about what could have happened, what should have happened, why did they make this choice, is that if the trauma counseling had failed or had been unapproached by some of the students, you could have actually then narrowed it down and said, we're just going to focus here. And
Tarima needs extreme help.
Yeah.
She's not. I think that's a really good point. And I want to caveat this too, because this is not the first series I've ever covered online publicly. It's not our business to go, they should have done this. Why are they doing that?
Yeah.
This particular episode really begs a lot of creative questions. So that's going to sound like what we're saying. But in reality, like, because I don't like to go, well, they should,
Yeah. We're not in the writer's room, okay?
No. and we're not here to criticize them either. But there was some sort of constraint on this episode that took what could have been 2 great episodes and made it one not really good episode.
Yeah. Let me tell you something I like. You mentioned it, the group dynamic of Jet Reno, Tilly, and Ake all having a drink, and they are the ones who are disconnected from everyone else's experience of time. That is super cool. And then you layer in the Doctor with that. What an interesting way to set up characters whose story parallels the story being told in Our Town through the stage manager.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to put it, because you have 4 stage managers essentially, if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah.
This is going to sound really strange because I was raised a theater girl. I know nothing about Our Town. Almost everyone does Our Town.
I was in Our Town.
Of course you were. I missed it. Like it had just been done, and then I went to a different high school, and they did it after I left. So like, I actually conflate it with like Oklahoma. That's what I thought it was.
Oh no. Okay. Well, we'll more to come, but obviously
I'm learning more about this. But it does work. Basically, this is like a theater kid's wet dream by putting Our Town in this. So it's really smart.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is chosen thoughtfully. I think now whether or not they nailed it, getting it married to the story that they're telling. All right, we'll come back to that, but it is chosen thoughtfully here. Yeah. Great moment of Sam, phasing in and out on the floor. I think those effects are very well done. Sam is stuck in a loop, a trauma loop, maybe. Yep. Think about that. And I was very interested when we got to the end of that act with the tease that we might be able to see Cask. Yeah. And I thought it was very interesting what we got when we actually go there.
Yeah. On my rewatch, remind me to talk about that.
Okay.
Where we are in Cask.
Oh, I will.
Because it's you're right. It's interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of interesting mirrors to Our Town. And yeah, poor Sam.
Yep. Poor Sam. Well, let's do it. Let's get into the next act.
Tarima and Genesis return to their room to find Sam gone, but not before she bestowed the role of Emily from Our Town on Tarima, much to Genesis's chagrin. The cadets are still confused about why they're working on a play whose themes mirror what they're experiencing in real life, with no one more resistant than Terima. Sam explains how time moves differently on Cask, which probably won't come into play later. Terima gets drunk and trauma dumps on Caleb. She's fine, probably. Thankfully, she has a soft landing in Genesis's friendship. That's really not easy to say. While the Doctor and Ake spell out the meaning of our town for us, just in case we didn't get it.
Yes. Okay. Now, there are acting moments in this episode that I will point out. There is one that I like here, which is in theater class, watching professional actors pretend to be bad actors. I'm always amused by that.
Yes, she
when
nailed it.
Yeah, and like when you watch Waiting for Guffman, you know, and you see these great, incredibly
Parker Posey,
yes, love that stuff.
Terima nailed it. She played ennui and no emotion perfectly.
Yes, love that. We have a great callback with the Doctor referencing Blink of an Eye. Where he talks about being on a planet with a tachyon core where time moved at a different rate. So thank you, writers, for picking up that. We're going to pick up a much more important, emotionally resonant reference a little bit later. But
so for those of you that don't know my personal trajectory in Star Trek, I didn't know Enterprise and DS9. Maybe I knew DS9. I didn't know Enterprise and Voyager was a thing until maybe 5 years ago.
Well, welcome. People are welcome into their fandom at any time.
I knew I'm a TOS girl, but I don't know how I missed those. And so I watched Voyager for the first time, the first couple seasons this last year. And so thankfully I got to see one of those episodes. I haven't seen Blink of an Eye. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Blink of an Eye is fantastic. I want to reference it in an upcoming Roddenberry video project. So stay tuned, everybody.
Okay, very good. And it's very thematic Star Trek to have someone experience a full lifetime.
Yep.
In a blink, over one episode. So I think there's they're doing what you talked about before, where it reminds you of Star Trek as opposed to going, hey guys, remember when we did this? Even though he's literally directly referencing 2 episodes we've seen.
Yeah. It's all about the emotional resonance. Yeah,
it does work.
Now the Doctor he's not like fun, snarky Doctor on Voyager. He is cantankerous. There is something deep and dark within him now. And Sam is definitely getting under his skin. I love Sam expressing that she wants to live. She wants to make mistakes. She wants love. She wants loss. She wants the totality of human experience, which should be so familiar to the Doctor, maybe a little too familiar, because you cut to his reaction. He is barely holding it together. I mean, that is some intense stuff. I think it's great. Yeah,
I am really angry at the Doctor for rejecting her so much. And it's really hard to watch.
Yeah.
But then you're exactly right. Watching the bookends of them in different places in life makes it clear how hard he's pushing away.
Yeah.
This experience because of how hard it has been to live through that. It's actually making me think now of The Good Place. If you haven't watched it, plug your ears. But it's kind of got like essences of how that series ends, where you get to choose when to move on. At what point are you done?
Yeah.
Did you live your life fully? I actually think about it a lot because it's like, if you were able to live forever, moments don't mean anything. There's actually a great song, I can't remember, but it's basically like, if we were vampires, holding hands wouldn't matter because life was longer and it doesn't matter. And that's kind of what I'm thinking this theme is. It's such a really wonderful way to explore it through the Doctor and like him being foiled against Sam here.
Yeah. Well, and it's so interesting that Sam is a child, and we'll get into the complexity of it later. She's designed to be 17 years old, but has only lived 209 days, something like that. But here is this child grappling with their mortality. And the Doctor, who is 800 plus years old, for whom time, you go back to the beginning, time is a beast. This thing
it bites us differently.
Yeah, this burden, the intersection where they find each other is really intense. It's great stuff.
I think this is my main criticism is we could have just lived in this dichotomy for days.
Yep.
And not to hearken to the theme of this, we could have spent so much more time here on what they were going through and what he was going through. And honest to God, he deserves it. Yeah. It's such an interesting storyline with 30 years of history. For us to have streamlined this doesn't make any sense. I have a question.
Yes.
Does Wood survive in space, really?
I guess if it's not getting hit by micrometeoroids,
right?
Or maybe, there's nothing there to rot it,
right? So, I guess that's my question. When George Clooney, F's off in the movie with Sandra Bullock, and he goes off and on forever and ever and ever.
Oh, yeah, right.
Whatever that movie is. If nothing hits him, does his body stay that way, or does
It could, but I mean, there's always space dust, and something, space dust hitting you at tens of thousands miles an hour can absolutely punch a hole in you. So
absolutely, you get eventually space killed, space destroyed. But that's what Tarima says when she's drunk and booty dialing Caleb.
Right. She talks about the wood that floats in space forever and ever. Now, what it made me think of, though, and this is a little tangent here, I apologize, but there's a whiskey. One is Jefferson Ocean, but another one actually had on the Queen Elizabeth, because they do their own, where they take these whiskey barrels, they put them on the ships, all right, and then for a year, they circumnavigate the globe. And that whiskey is getting moved around, but it's also getting affected by changes in temperature, changes in, air salinity, stuff like that. So what you get is this very different product at the end. Some are better than others.
Yes.
That's what it made me think of. Now,
that's really cool. Right? As opposed to just sitting in a barrel underneath your, peak. Yeah, that's cool. I do love stout that has been aged in a whiskey barrel.
Oh,
It's really high proof. It's very good.
Yeah.
But of course you're going to find different unique ways to make alcohol, especially by the 32nd century. And something can be 1,000 years old after having lived in, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But poor Tarima, she is, neck deep in an alcohol that would probably kill somebody if they had as much as she was drinking.
I do not like this scene.
Yeah, it's bad. On so many different levels.
I don't like what the scene is trying to accomplish. I don't like seeing actors play drunk if they're not really skilled at it. It's a hard thing to pull off. And there is something about Tarima where they haven't quite figured out, is she childish? Is she just childlike? Is she less mature than she should be as a Betazoid at her age? There's so much that doesn't add up here. And that whole drunk scene just made me feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think uncomfortable is a perfect way to explain it. And here's the thing. When I've seen Zoe Steiner, I guess that's her last name. Maybe I'm mispronouncing it. Forgive me. She's very eloquent. She's very cool. She's well thought out. She's thought about this character.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a choice, and it's not a good one.
Nope.
And I gotta give it up to Caleb for being as respectful as they possibly can.
Sure.
Here. He's not gonna take advantage of her. We know he won't, but he certainly could, right?
Yeah.
And he loves her, and there's blurred line. Just saying, it's really tough, and it goes on too long.
Yep.
I love the denouement of that. Her being drunk with Genesis. That's actually a very sweet little scene.
Okay, I agree. I mean, look, I don't love the way it's played, but I think the important information actually comes out of that scene. Yes. And I like the way that in her drunken state, Tarima says to Genesis, "You're like a port in a storm." And it's so nice to then understand, okay, here's the contrast between these two characters. they do play different roles in Caleb's life. That is just succinctly well done.
I couldn't agree with you more. I love what Genesis said too, that you're just like on your way to being the next you. And that is a very cool theme that I don't think we realize that some of the tumult in all of our lives is that transition.
Yeah.
Interesting. Jessica's thinking, the version of me that was caustic, that like Tilly was, like I was on the the train ride to the next version of me. It's not. Okay. It's messy, and one of my ports in the storm from who was in the improvised generation said, "You're pre-boiling. You're right. You're there when like the molecules are almost hot enough to start going like this, but the pot lid, it hasn't betrayed that you're boiling yet." So that, it's a really, if you have someone in your life smart enough to flag that for you, it kind of makes everything that doesn't make sense make a little more sense, even though it hasn't fully coagulated yet. And Tarima's going through that in a really hard way right now. And Genesis is so cool, man.
Yeah, she's great. Like here are two characters who are within a year or two's same age. And Genesis, for the problems we may have identified in her last week, she really does kind of have it together. And she is at least much more emotionally on an even keel. And that's not to say that it's wrong for Tarima to not be. I just think the way dramatically this is played is not good.
Yeah, I think let's take into consideration for Tarima very little experience of the Starfleet of it all. Sure. Like I think they had some planets that were in their wall, their psionic wall, but she is trying to experience life for the first time and maybe it's not going well. And just want to flag too that Genesis is good for other people. She's not good at herself. So there are some people that are particularly skilled at like, I know what you should do. Yeah. I'm not going to take that advice.
Yeah. Do as I say, not as I do.
Correct.
And then we wrap. I don't want to spend too much time on this because there's so much more to say about the Doctor later, but we end this act with, the Doctor really identifying with the stage manager from our town as he could. He exists outside of time, outside of the story. But Ake and Sam do as well. So now we have another character who's not quite fitting in, right? But the monologue really lands, and I believe it's he, or maybe it is Ake who puts the cap on it. It's the mundane things that mean everything. I thought that was such a lovely line. I think that was Ake responding to the Doctor. I didn't.
Yeah, she distilled
my notes.
His thought.
Yeah,
and I gotta say, for as challenging as this episode is to like, that has left an impression on me since watching it. I'm like, try to enjoy the small little things, dummy.
Good lesson.
It's a beautiful lesson, and I think our town, if I'm understanding it just from this episode, also kind of gets to that. So that's why I made fun of it by saying, okay, here's the whole point. But life is made up by a series of little things. And then before you know it, it is over or you have done the thing.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's a nice little scene.
All right. Next act.
We're thrust into a black and white simulation on Cask, where the makers swarm Sam, trying to understand the malfunction she's experiencing. Meanwhile, the cadets continue psychoanalyzing the play and finally begin opening up about the Miyazaki experience. And Tarima is having none of it. The makers terminate Sam. The damage is beyond repair, and they blame Starfleet.
Well, hey, Starfleet can stand to take a bit of blame.
I think it should. And this is my previous claim. Like, why isn't Emperor Sladal going, what the heck have you done to my kids?
No, I want to see that actor back. I want to just please come on.
Oh, yeah. We need no excuse to bring him back, except it makes sense story-wise to be like, hey, we just joined the Starfleet back again. Why is this going so poorly?
Right.
Why is one of the kids dead?
Yes.
Crazy. But you're totally right. So the promise of seeing Cask, at first I thought it was the Borg ship.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Because
the angles?
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was very like Doctor Who energy, the kind of thing they would do in an episode of Doctor Who, not specifically, but just kind of generically speaking, this like geometric abstract planet, and it's black and white, and we're making all these very interesting visual choices, but you have the disembodied voice of a photonic. Like, it was just very creative. Also a good cost-saving measure to just shoot it on the Athena set.
Brilliant. It did save. They get a lot of mileage out of that set.
They do,
but it does work. And I'm touched by how the makers approach Sam here. Yeah. And I do think it's a really nice representation to have them be like, they probably don't even need to be physical representations of those wavy lines, but it helps, right?
Yeah.
And it being black and white is beautiful. And I love that they asked the permission to swarm Sam.
It was such a better bookend to what we got in series Acclamation Mill, where I was just angry at the photonic makers for being obtuse. But here, they've softened them a bit, and I think you needed that.
I wonder if what Sam went through and told them did change their approach a little bit with her.
Could very well be. Yeah, they've had some time to think about it.
Yeah. Well, because also she hasn't really contacted them, right?
Yeah,
so this is interesting.
Exactly. Now, the doctor refusing to hold her hand. When I first saw this, I was like, oh, I thought, wow, he had much better bedside manner on Voyager that he kind of learned himself into.
Right.
But that regression here, we will see, has a reason.
Yeah. I feel when I first saw this scene, and then it took the rewatch to feel a little less icky about it. But I'm just like, Sam, why are you throwing yourself at this guy over and over and over again? Like, go ask for Nala's hand. She'll give it to you. And why are you seeking him? He didn't agree to be your mentor. Why are you calling him a bad mentor?
Yeah.
When you sort of begin to understand what's happening to Sam, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Why she is seeking approval from somebody that's rejecting her.
Yeah.
Over and over again.
Yeah.
But it is such a crappy moment.
It is, but
well written, like well written, believable.
Yeah, exactly.
But it sucks.
Yeah, exactly. It is emotionally true, you know?
Yeah.
Now we come back to our town. We get sort of all the life lessons kind of taught to us from these scenes. Caleb gets the "you can't go home again" message, and I think that's valuable for his character and the journey. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, listen, what he went through in the Miyazaki was important for him to understand that Starfleet actually is going to be a safe place for him to land. Yeah, because if you remember, his mom said, don't trust them. And so he had no reason to. But then he saw what Lieutenant Redshirt did and then what Bobby did. And he's like, oh, you know what it reminds me of?
Yeah.
The guy who dies in Marvel, he's like, they need something to bond them. The Craig, is this what his name is?
Oh, yeah.
The Shield guy, Coulson?
Sure. I'll go with that.
Yeah, Craig Coulson, guys. That's who it is. But it's like so sad he dies. He has like Captain America's card. He's like, no, let me die. They need something to bond them. It's kind of what Caleb has gone through here.
Yeah, he's a little bit.
Yeah, he's coming in the Starfleet, the back door, kind of.
Yeah.
But he is getting it. He's a smart kid.
Yeah, he is. Now, I'm less sold on Tarima's meltdown in this scene. Is it what we're trying to get across? Is it true to the character and their journey? Yes, probably so. But like you mentioned at the top of the show, Jessica, this is partly something that she has brought on herself in her refusal to accept the help that has been given to her.
I think your question as to how mature is she and what choice are they making really is a factor here. I recognize that outburst when I was 15.
Well, see, okay, there you go. When you were 15, and here we have a character who plays younger than the performer, and I think with Caleb, a character who plays older than the performer, and there is a disparity there that sometimes they work, sometimes they don't.
Yeah, I think that's a really good distinction. I think that's good to like put a like star around to be like, that's probably one of the things we're seeing that doesn't work. This is not fair, but because they are younger actors, some of the nuance is lost.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
You get better as you act. I thought I had to be a really great actor when I was out the gate. You know what? I became a great actor. I look at stuff that I did when I was 20 and it hurts.
There you go.
It is so bad.
Yeah.
And they're better than I was, to be sure.
Yeah.
But there's something missing in these moments, and it's their age or lack of experience, I think.
Now, Tilly's statement to Terima, I do like this kind of bit of like backhanded encouragement, like that's the fight, keep coming back. That felt like almost like a Kirk moment. You know, you're not dead. You're the one who gets to be here. It is a bit of that tough love that, again, we may feel like other things that Tilly is doing are out of step for her character.
Yes.
But I appreciate the earnest honesty of that message.
Yeah, maybe this might make me wonder, was this originally written to be Tilly?
Oh,
like,
okay.
Did they go, oh, wait, Tilly's here. Let's shoehorn her in. Because there's something, Caustic is exactly right, but she's like antagonistic with these kids who are like, you know, shell-shocked. And it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But I think what I understand about Terima's meltdown, though I agree with you that she's like not thrilled, she just sees how forced it is. And I would, if I too was fighting the help and in a dark place, there's a thing called depressive realism. When you are depressed and your literal serotonin levels are low, you actually see the world for what it truly is. And it's very depressing. So it's harder for you to see things optimistically. So when your serotonin's working a little bit better, you're like, oh, everything's okay. And that's kind of not the reality.
Interesting.
And what's tough about this, I've been here a couple times and it's a tough place. When you are in depressive reality or whatever, the word I used, there's no incentive to go back to dumb, optimistic version of you. Because you're like, why would I want to forget that this, like, how can I forget? It really is. That's why you go for a run. That's why you eat healthy food. That's why you go talk to a therapist, because you don't want to get better sometimes when you're in there. So I think she's experiencing that.
Wow. All right. Fascinating. And we wrap up the act, of course, with Sam's termination. Heavy moment. And the makers, like you pointed out, not wrong, Starfleet, they destabilized her in under a year.
Yes. Or at least you can extrapolate that, right? Yeah. Like you can look at the set of circumstances and go, dang. So I know if everyone's going to be mad at me for saying it, I had a theory that Terima might not make it past the end of the series or at the end of the season. I was really wondering if they were going to take Sam away from us, and that would be some stakes. I don't know if it would have been the right choice, but it would really be interesting. And you think it's happening here for sure.
Yeah. Now, of course, we're about to wrap it up here with the final act, and part of me wishes like, well, okay, if you're going to make a character's death have some stakes, then you need to make that have some stakes. But I think they found a very interesting way to rewind and replay. So why don't you tell us what happens, Jessica?
I will. The cadets speak candidly about their feelings, and thanks to Cragg, they begin to read the play aloud. The doctor opens up to a lifeless Sam, explaining why he shut her out. He once lost a daughter 800 years ago on Voyager, referring to the episode Real Life. The makers reveal they programmed Sam without a childhood, which limited her resilience. The failure was twofold. Ake realizes that if they start from the beginning, give her a childhood, they might be able to save her. The doctor doth protest too much about being her father figure, but ultimately agrees, living 17 years on Cask raising Sam, which is just a couple days, basically, who will retain both her new and old memories. Cut to a montage that probably should have been half the episode, the doctor raising Sam while the cadets continue to read the play, with Terima arriving just in time to land the theme of the episode. And just like that, everyone's fine. End scene.
Well done. Well
Can you feel
done.
my nihilism about this episode?
I know. Yeah. Look, again, some great moments here, some very interesting, very sci-fi choices that were made. Let's go back to the kids in theater class. So I fully buy the cadets like sitting together and processing the loss
Yes.
of Sam, although they don't know specifically what has happened, but they're just like, Sam's gone, and it didn't look like she was getting any better. So,
Right.
all right. So I get that part. What I don't buy is them spontaneously staging Our Town. that was a bit too on the nose. Yeah.
I agree, and it made me want to hurl. It's like you know how like Jet was like, I could feel you in the back of my molars. Like that's like what it was making me feel. But I can also recall times where everyone's like, you know what? Now we're all going to just do the play we've been rehearsing for no reason. So like I can see it, and it's stupid, but it's like one of those things where like you need the person who looks like an idiot, and then the second person's like, you know what? No, yeah, we should do it, and then everyone's like, fine, we're doing it.
Right.
So I kind of buy it. It's so dumb, but it's okay. There's too many conventions in.
Yeah.
It's a little too much. But it's fine. The hanging out at the quad and talking is adorable.
Sure.
It's totally what they would do.
Well, let's go back to Cask.
Yes.
Because that moment of the Doctor relating the story of what happened in the Voyager episode, real life, wonderful, incredible episode. Bob Picardo just 1,000% delivers here. It is so good. It is some of his best work in Star Trek. Wow. But no notes there.
No notes. I am a cynic, and I'm like, come on. He lived with that family for 3 weeks aboard Voyager. Why does he care? But that's it. He experiences he can't forget anything.
Yeah.
Honestly, it wraps up that episode of Voyager it took 30 years for us to get there.
Right.
That's how much that meant to him. That's why it was so hard for him to return to that simulation and be there for his daughter. The fact that it's still a burden he's carrying to this day.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm giving myself chills talking about it. It's beautiful. And he is stretching his wings and flying, and he's not just singing opera. He's not like, hey, look what else I can do.
Right,
he is acting right now, and it's beautiful. A little too late for Sam, but
of course,
but not really.
Yeah.
But
there are other episodes of Voyager where the Doctor kind of has the idea, well, if I just delete the painful memories, then I'll be okay. And each time Janeway is like, oh, no. You don't get out of that this easily. Now, contrast with Janeway actually erasing part of his memory, but
or erasing Tuvix. I mean,
too soon.
Sorry.
but anyway, just such a good overall look at the tragedy of what it would be like to be the Doctor. So
that's an interesting point. He's also, for as like sad as he is about his life, or like, resigned, he isn't deleting Gwyndala. He's not deleting Voyager. So he could. It's not like someone would stop him now. Yeah. So it is interesting that he's like actively choosing this really sad existence.
Yeah. But
so
that is the very human thing, though, is like you don't get to delete your memories. You just have to incorporate them, and move on is not the right phrase, but you have to move forward with those things incorporated into your psyche, your memory, and your whole being.
Yeah, which is what basically Tarima says to Tilly when she's leaving at the end of the episode. Like, you still just got to keep going. And I think that, I mean, to talk about it on a higher level, like, not all of us experience like very sad days or like life challenging days. But almost everyone that has survived goes, you know what? I'm really glad I saw myself through to the next day. It's always better on the other side. But it's hard sometimes when you're in the moment. Yeah. I at first, when I watched the first episode the first time, I was confused as to how just restarting Sam from the beginning actually solved the problem.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we all want to know where's the backup file. Like if you took you 200 years to make Sam, where surely you're backing up your work along the way.
And also, like, okay, we're going to kill this version of her. Why do her memories exist still?
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
If it's all corrupted, why would they still exist?
Yeah, that's a good point.
If you lose your stuff on a computer, like, it's gone.
It's gone. If you don't have a backup, it's gone. Yeah. Now, I thought it was such an interesting thematic idea that Sam had no childhood. So there's no gradual exposure to hardship. So there's no resilience that comes from that. And yeah, you can draw some parallels over to Terima. But again, I think there's a lot of unanswered stuff about Terima. And can we truly buy what's going on there? I think we have a much better time accepting Sam because we understand the parameters a bit. But she went from zero to existential crisis in less than a year. So it's a great way of looking at just sort of human experience. Like, yes, like you just said, you have to go through certain hardships. You have to be able to go through them and look back and say, yeah, I survived. Now I can survive the next thing. Now the doctor, oh man, there is a line that he has. The only thing that allows me to bear my infinity is not having to love anyone. Wow. Great line, great delivery. And then he calls himself a coward. Utter heartbreak.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
He knows.
Yeah. He knows. And says,
well,
no,
and that's the duality of what he's experiencing then is it's not just that life is easier because he's not loving anybody. It's actually harder because he's opting out of it. Like when you have that sort of like self-judgment, he's living with that too.
Yeah.
It's really sad. And it's good honesty in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will say it's kind of obscured because it's like the way you see them have their montage of him being daddy or whatever.
Yep.
It's all at the academy.
Yeah, it is. That's right.
Poor Sam. She's lived at the campus.
Oh no.
I know.
Yeah.
Dude,
wow.
It's upsetting.
Well, but this opens up a really interesting question about Sam going forward. So I think we'll express that to the audience in a moment when we do state what our questions are or what our expectations are going forward. But let's talk about that montage a little bit. I think it works really well. I love going from black and white into color. Gave me strong Pleasantville vibes. If you remember that movie, Welcome to Pleasantville. Love that underappreciated movie. But literally emotional truth brings color to the world. Like I thought that was just, it's a great theme of the movie. It's a great theme here. And then remember, go back, I think in the previous act, the doctor mentions that about the stage direction in our town, about how the lighting, we only get color in those emotional moments. Yeah.
We're talking about this episode piece by piece makes it sound brilliant.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Then talking about it as a whole, they left so much. It all fails, I think.
Well, you wrap it up and Jet Reno says to Tilly, like, well done, Red. I'm like, huh? What it was? What was
what
well
did
done?
She do? Well, except for yell at them and choose a favorite.
Right.
Crazy. And there are interesting parallels to Terima and what Sam's going through, but boy, could we have just gotten the full episode of what Sam was going through.
Absolutely.
And did she deserve it? Did the doctor deserve it? And yes, I'm probably jumping the ship here a little bit.
Well, no, because we have arrived at the end, unless there's an act-specific note that you have. But
no, I don't think so, because it might come up again. There's good moments, but it all falls. I don't know. The glue is missing or something.
Yeah, I think you're right. But to put some positive spin on it, standout moment.
Picardo?
Just all Picardo all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I don't know if I would say like, oh, this is it. But yeah, I think he gets to shine this episode. There's 30 years of loving Star Trek in this with him, and it's beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, look, I hard agree from the opening monologue that he has, which is dark and depressing, but so real, to the moments of him kind of spilling his guts on the shuttle ride over to Cask, to the moment of his admission about his greatest failing when he's in Cask and has to make a decision about what to do next. Phenomenal. My God, it's just so good.
Let me ask you a question. Should the final monologue have gone to Ake or him?
Oh God, yeah, it should have been him.
Because why wouldn't you bookend it that way?
Yeah, it absolutely should have been him.
Yeah. But yes, I think we are in agreement. He gets to shine. And it's a full arc of an episode. It's beautiful. Yeah. He's nailing it. Yeah. What about? Do you have any questions going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think the central mystery here, since what we get at the end is a montage, we don't really spend time with Sam or the Doctor after this big moment. So, how will Sam's memories conflict? What is she? Who is she going forward? So are we going to witness, performance-wise and story-wise, a different version of this character?
Honest to God, I didn't write it in our notes, I don't think, but this is exactly what I was going to ask too. Like, is she's going to exist with rejection Picardo or rejection Doctor and Daddy Doctor? How does that happen?
Well, and look, I'll go back to the episode, the series Acclamation Mill, where I was critical about the use of the on-screen graphics, and like, this doesn't match up. You have this really childish, stuff drawn by a 3-year-old contrasted with the high-tech, super futuristic computer language of the photonics. But if you want to go back and sort of retroactively fit this, you can go, oh, okay, she had no childhood. She is just child from beginning to end. So there is no way to contextualize like that is the writing of a 3-year-old versus this is the writing of a 17-year-old. Everything is just compressed, mishmashed into 200 days.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And it makes me feel really sad for her. And I'm happy that there's hope for her too, because now that she's gotten the opportunity to have a childhood and actual like lessons, this will give her a better foundation. What it's just making me think though, like children who like aren't raised well end up with like personality disorders when you're not raised in a safe, loving environment.
Right.
You hurt that child. And it's in a weird way, by omitting that from her, she did have, trauma and like poor coping mechanisms.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well,
you wanted to soapbox this?
I do. I've got some thoughts. Slide that soapbox over here. Thank you kindly, Jessica. I appreciate it. And actually, when I'm done with this little final thought here, I think you and I will probably have a couple other pointed comments to make. But here's how I shaped this, okay? Because I do have very mixed feelings about this episode. I think there are, I think you do. There are extreme highs, there are extreme lows. As we have been pointing out, taken individually, there are fabulous moments, right? But as an episode, does it really work? Well, look, first of all, the big obvious thing, structurally, this should have followed Come Let's Away and the whole disaster of the Miyazaki. It just should have, instead of taking us on a detour to the Keonian wedding moon, all right? Dealing with the trauma head on feels like the natural next step. And to the show's credit, to this episode, yes, we lean into it, but boy, is it tonally off from where we were last week and the week before. Now, like Star Trek often does, it uses a literary touchstone. This time, it's Our Town by Thornton Wilder. Now, we've had Shakespeare in Star Trek. We've had Melville in Star Trek. We've had thousands of other literary references spread throughout. But now it's 20th century theater, and I love Our Town. Now, this episode is a bit ham-fisted when it comes to pushing themes, okay? And at times it feels like the theater kids explaining theater to the other theater kids, and I say that as one of them. I know you are one of them.
Oh, it's feeling like Tawny is in this whole episode because, like, you just know theater kids are writing this episode.
Yeah. Now, look, as a theater kid, one of my favorite plays is Long Day's Journey into Night. That would have been entirely too bleak for an episode of Star Trek. So thank you for not doing that one, but I get it. Okay, but then there are moments that really hit hard that I think are conceptually really relevant. Caleb has this great line that I think is easy to pass over because there's so many other relevant and important things in the episode. Caleb says, "How is this," meaning the play, "how is this relevant to flying a starship?" Sam says, "It's relevant to people. I can't articulate it, but it's real."
Oh.
Now that, to me, is the episode in a nutshell. So the arts don't teach you how to fly the ship. They teach you why it matters to fly, why that journey actually means something. So now let's roll all of that back to the Doctor's journey. The only thing that allows me to bear my infinity is not having to love anyone. Devastating. He's chosen detachment as a method of survival. And Ake is warning that he may end up with no one left to love. That reframes the stage manager from our town as the central tragic figure. Observing life isn't enough. You have to participate in it.
Oh my goodness.
There we are. So Bob Picardo, again, 10,000% delivers here some of his strongest work in Star Trek. If this episode had stayed more tightly focused on that thread, I think it would have landed so much better. And instead, it feels very disjointed, and the Tarima storyline muddies and even undermines the emotional clarity. Still, at its core, this episode is arguing for something that is very Star Trek. It's not about the stars you chart, it's about the connections you make along the way. And look, I've said a similar thing in the past, and I'm sure that I'll say it again, that Star Trek has never really been about exploring strange new worlds. It's about learning to live in this one. So that is the takeaway here. So, Jessica, I hope in some small way, I might have...
No, I'm giving you more. It's so good.
Okay, all right. So I might have redeemed some of the thematic ideas here. But look, this happens in Mission Log, where you take an episode that is just, frankly, not that strong an execution, not that strong of an episode, but you go, wow, but there's really something to talk about here.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what we get.
And that's why I give it credit. The moments that we get out of it make it totally worth it. You know, I took the lesson of it's the mundane things that make a life, and it's going really neatly into my current philosophy of living. I really do my best to like be really grateful and live in the small things. And so it was really cool to hear that being said here. And if it was useless or a really bad episode, I don't know that I would have landed with me as much. But I think overall, this is a symptom of this really strange TV culture we live in, where it takes 2 years to see a new season of a show, and they only do 10 episodes.
Yeah.
I think we are not writing stories well because of that.
Yeah.
And I would love to know the behind the scenes reason why we did get Kozan, because it does seem like a script someone wrote and they went, oh, we don't know where to use it. Oh, wait, we can't go and do one downer episode into another down. Yes, you can.
Yeah,
like
you can.
Isn't that also very Star Trek, where you have the one where Riker's going to kill Picard, and then the next?
Oh, yeah. Best of both worlds is the summer cliffhanger. Yeah,
and then when he comes back, Picard ain't the same, and you need to see him deal with that and have the fallout, and we need that. So it is almost like they're pushing these kids too much, but they're not. We're filling in the blanks too much for them, John.
Yeah. There's weird editorial choice, and I don't just mean cutting film. There's weird editorial choices about what character moments, what emotional beats will we actually have. And like you just said, somebody comes along with a script and goes, well, this is a really cool idea for this character. oh, but we only have 10 episodes. Well, maybe we can boil that down into a B plot. And then you watch something like this and just go, wow, we could have had the Doctor's arc over 3 episodes, maybe. We could have kept exploring that and really driven home the depth of what he's getting. Now, look, he fully delivers on everything asked of him here.
Yes.
And I do think we get a pretty complete picture about where he is and what his journey has been. But there's so much more,
Because they also did a pretty good job of making us question where he is.
Yeah.
At the top in a couple of different moments. And we're not getting a lot of him really in the series until now.
Yeah.
So honor us as the audience, allow us to live in the discomfort of it. Because they're like right there. They're circling the drain on these amazing themes.
Yeah.
And then execution just kills it. It's unfortunate. The second watch, I like it a little better. I don't want to just outright say that the Terima plotline is bad. Something's wrong there, though.
Something is very wrong. And I don't know quite how to articulate it. I don't know if it's because at this stage, again, we're talking about episode 8 of a 10-episode season that was finished more than a year ago. So it's so hard to say, well, wait, did they not quite figure it out here? Or is this what they thought they had figured out? But, well, now in retrospect, when you see it all together, it isn't quite coming together. Don't quite know how to put my finger on what the problem is there. But I feel like each time we come back to that storyline, it's regressive.
We got a little bit of hope when we saw actually what she can do and why that's been hard for her.
Sure.
I guess this is why I don't want to outright say it's not being acted well. It's not being written well. I really recognize things in Terima that I experienced or can see someone experiencing. You create your reality. You can create as much distance between yourself and other people. She goes back to the school changed and not ready to be that person. And she thinks everyone is looking at her a specific way. Everyone's just happy she's there.
Yeah.
But she's hearing laughs and she thinks it's about them. But then give us a whole episode where we're dealing with that. Or did they know that there was something not quite sticking the landing with Terima and they decided to ham-fist it because we actually don't know exactly what to do with this character. So we'll put her in. Sam got a whole episode. Jay Dennon gets a whole episode. Where's Terima's episode?
Yeah, that's my concern right there.
Maybe they knew something was off.
Yeah.
And they piecemealed her story in and we're the worse off for it.
Could be. Well, look, this one is a mixed bag. I agree with you that on subsequent rewatches, I liked it better, partly because it's that thing. When you know where a story is going, when you already know the things that you like or don't like in a story, you can kind of come back to it and just relax into the moments and just appreciate oh, here's a great performance. Here's a great transition. Here's a great choice of words, whatever it may be.
Yeah, that is such a good point.
Yeah, but
you shouldn't have to do that.
You shouldn't have to do that. Yeah.
Star Trek knows how to tell. Star Trek is one story over an episode.
Yeah.
That's Star Trek at its best. And boy, did they miss the mark here.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could both. Yeah. I maintain this could have been 2 different episodes. You could have had 2 wonderful episodes and do Kozai next year, guys. I don't know. Sorry.
There we go. You could have waited until next year. Jessica, that is what I like to think of as our fair-minded, thoughtful, good faith arguments for and against maybe the strengths and weaknesses of an episode of Star Trek. But now it is time for all of you to tell us if you agree, if you disagree. Are there things that we are completely overlooking? As well may be the case. You know what to do. Leave a comment, email us, join us on Monday night from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock Pacific or 10 to 11 Eastern for free at patreon.com/missionlog. We will see you all there. And that, I suppose, is Mission Log Reactor for this week.
John, all thanks to you. Truly, I didn't mean that as facetiously as that sounded.
I always take it facetiously.
I'm so sorry. Choose positive.
My own trauma coming back to haunt me.
You're making your own reality. Sarcastic Vulcan
Right.
salute.